On April 1, 2025, the world witnessed a historic moment that many believe marks a new dawn for the Catholic Church. Pope Luis Antonio Tagle, the first Asian pope, stepped onto the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica in Vatican City, delivering a speech that resonated deeply with millions around the globe. His words were not just those of a new leader, they felt like a fresh beginning for a church eager to reconnect with its followers in a rapidly changing world. Vatican News, Pope Tagle's address, was a departure from traditional papal speeches. He didn't dwell on complex theological doctrines or rigid rules. Instead, he spoke from the heart, emphasizing the importance of personal faith and genuine human connection. His message was clear. The Church must be a place of warmth, inclusivity, and relevance in today's society. One of the most striking aspects of his speech was his call to rediscover the sense of amazement, wonder, and awe at the gift of the Lord's presence. He urged believers to move beyond mere intellectual assent to faith, advocating for a deep, emotional, and personal encounter with the divine. This invitation was not just for the devout, but for anyone seeking meaning in a tumultuous world. Pope Tagle also addressed pressing global issues, acknowledging the Church's responsibility to engage with the world's challenges. He spoke candidly about environmental degradation, economic inequality, and the plight of refugees. His words echoed the sentiments of Pope Francis, who has consistently called for a diplomacy of hope and a firm commitment to human dignity. In his 2025 World Day of Peace message, Pope Francis emphasized the need to promote respect for the dignity of human life, from conception to natural death. Los Angeles Press, EWTN, Global Catholic Television Network, +2 Catholic News Agency. Sao2 Interaction +2. The reaction to Pope Tagle's speech was overwhelmingly positive. Catholics and non-Catholics alike felt a renewed sense of hope and possibility. Theologians and scholars debated the implications of his words, considering how they might shape the Church's direction in the coming years. Many saw his emphasis on personal experience and social justice as a much-needed evolution in the Church's approach to contemporary issues. Catholic News Agency +2 Interaction +2, Los Angeles Press +T2. However, not all responses were favorable. Some traditionalists expressed concern that focusing too heavily on personal feelings and social issues might divert attention from the Church's spiritual mission. They feared that such an approach could lead to a dilution of core doctrines and teachings. These debates highlighted the dynamic and diverse nature of the global Catholic community, reflecting a spectrum of beliefs and priorities. Pope Tagle's speech outlined 5 key shifts he envisions for the Church, emphasizing personal faith, moving beyond doctrinal adherence to foster a heartfelt personal relationship with God. Reimagining the Eucharist, viewing the Eucharist not just as a ritual, but as a transformative encounter with the divine. Championing inclusivity, making the Church a welcoming home for all, especially those marginalized or excluded. Engaging in dialogue, actively listening to and conversing with people of all beliefs to build mutual understanding and respect. Leading environmental stewardship, taking decisive action to address environmental crises, recognizing the interconnectedness of all creation. These shifts represent a bold vision for a Church that is both deeply rooted in tradition and actively engaged with the modern world. They call for a balance between preserving core spiritual values and addressing the evolving needs of society. In the Philippines, Pope Tagle's message was met with particular enthusiasm. His vision resonated deeply with Filipinos, who have a rich tradition of faith and community. The emphasis on inclusivity and social justice mirrored the values many hold dear. This alignment between the Pope's message and the aspirations of the Filipino people underscored the universal appeal of his vision. Across Asia, there was a palpable sense of pride and hope. Pope Tagle's leadership brought attention to the vibrant and growing Catholic communities in the region. His call for a church that understands and addresses the unique challenges faced by Asians was seen as a validation of their experiences and struggles. It reinforced the idea that the Church is a global family, attentive to the diverse contexts of its members. In Europe, reactions were mixed. Some appreciated the Pope's efforts to make the Church more relatable and responsive to contemporary issues. However, others expressed concern about maintaining traditional teachings amidst societal changes. This tension highlighted the broader challenges facing many religious institutions in secularized societies. In the Americas, the Pope's message sparked lively discussions. Communities grappled with how to balance tradition with innovation and how to address pressing social issues while remaining faithful to doctrinal teachings. These conversations reflected the dynamic and diverse nature of Catholicism in the Western Hemisphere. Pope Tagle's speech on April 1, 2025, was more than just an address. It was a catalyst for global reflection and dialogue. It challenged individuals and communities to reconsider what it means to be part of the Church in the 21st century. It invited everyone, believers and seekers alike, to embark on a journey of faith that is personal, inclusive, dialogical, and responsible. As we reflect on this pivotal moment, it's essential to consider our role in this evolving narrative. How can we contribute to a church that embodies these values? How can we live out the call to be a community that welcomes all, listens deeply, and acts justly? These are questions that each of us must answer, guided by the principles of love, compassion, and hope that Pope Tagle so eloquently shared. In conclusion, Pope Luis Antonio Tagle's inaugural They form a powerful plan. They show a vision for a church that is alive, brave, and full of love. A church that meets people where they are. A church that still holds on to its heart, but is not afraid to grow. All around the world, people reacted to Pope Taguchi's vision. In the Philippines, where he was born, the joy was overwhelming. The people celebrated with pride. To them, seeing one of their own chosen as Pope was more than exciting. It was deeply meaningful. For years, Filipino Catholics have been strong in their faith. Now it felt like the world was finally seeing them. Pope Taguchi's message felt like a celebration of their culture, their devotion, and their dreams. His simple, honest way of speaking touched people across the nation. Across Asia, his words sparked hope. In countries where Catholic communities are growing fast, many people felt like the Pope finally understood them. He spoke in a way that made sense to their everyday lives. He talked about kindness, about inclusion, about action. He reminded them that their voices matter in the global church. This was more than leadership. It was representation. It was dignity. It was hope. In Europe, where the Catholic faith has deep roots but is facing big challenges, reactions were mixed. Some people loved Pope Taguchi's openness. They felt like this was what the Church needed to stay alive in modern times. But others were unsure. They worried that changing too much could make the Church lose its strong foundation. Still, the debate itself showed something important. The Church is still alive, still thinking, still moving. In the Americas, the response was lively and full of discussion. In Latin America, people connected with Pope Taguchi's focus on the poor and the marginalized. They've lived those struggles, and they saw in him a leader who truly cared. In North America, different groups responded in different ways. More progressive Catholics were excited about his message on climate change, justice, and inclusion. More conservative ones appreciated his respect for tradition, but were cautious about how much change is too much. But no matter where you looked, one thing was clear. Pope Taguchi's message brought people together. It started conversations, brought out emotions, and gave people something to dream about. It reminded everyone that the Church is not just a building or a system. It's a family, and like all families, it's growing, changing, and learning how to love better.